Well, what do you want to know about first?
You said stand-up comedy was born from the mob. And I was like, girl, you said what? But you're not a girl, you're a boy, but...
Whatever. Yeah, it's... So, like, the term stand-up comes from, like, the mob during, like, Prohibition. Like, being a quote-unquote stand-up guy was a thing that mobsters said if you were, like, cool. Like,
can you do it in, like, a mob voice? Like, oh, he's a stand-up guy.
He's a real stand-up guy.
Yeah.
That's... Oh, boy. I've been watching a lot of The Tulsa King, which is a show on Paramount Plus, streaming now. That's
Free plug.
Right. That's about the mob, and it's Sylvester Stallone. And anyway, yeah, it was... So, like, live comedy in America started with, like, vaudeville and shows like that in the late 1800s, early 19... whatever.
Honestly, that checks because I don't think anything is funny prior to the late 1800s. Like, you know what I mean? It's like dysentery, it's the Oregon Trail.
Yes.
You're getting killed with a bayonet. You're
Yeah.
dying from a tumbleweed rolling over you.
It's very real. Like, there was humor back then, like, with little, like, shows that, the jesters or whatever put on. But a lot of sort of historians that talk about comedy, they talk about how it's like, we didn't start to focus on figuring out, like, how to really make people laugh and, like, sell tickets to it until we were able to, like, take care of ourselves. Like back whenever you needed to worry about, like, where your meat was coming from and, like, if your child was going to survive past, like, 1 year old, it was kind of difficult to sell you, like, a ticket and a 2-drink minimum. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then from, like, vaudeville and stuff like that, it just sort of, like... Old stand-up comedy before, like I'd say probably the 50s was like a bunch of old stock sets is what they were called, where it's like you'd get these comedians who worked out in the Catskills, which is this like mountain range in New York, or like
You know
these,
how
like,
I know what the Catskills is?
How?
Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Yes, exactly.
They go to the Catskills.
Yeah, and that's where it's like it's the same acts that like people would buy acts from dying comedians to use their joke of like, did I tell you about the time I like those sort of old school things?